Ready? Ready.
What's up, guys? It's Pick'em with HuddleGG, and welcome back to another episode of Ask Huddle. If you guys are new here, this is a series that we do each week where we answer your guys' questions. So if you have a question you'd like answered in a future video, wherever you're watching this, just make sure you leave that in the comment section below. You can also ask us in our Discord. It's completely free to join. Just go to HuddleGG/Discord. Again, we really appreciate you being here. Let's dive into this week's episode. And our first question today comes from Nice for What, and they say, how do you like to beat cover 4? Now, cover 4 can be a variety of things, right? We have cover 4 drop, we have cover 4 quarters, we have cover 4 palms. If there's a specific type of cover 4 you really want us to dive into, definitely let us know, because you will attack all three of these in different ways. Cover 4 drop is more of a spot drop zone coverage, where cover 4 quarters and cover 4 palms are more matching style defenses. And again, you're going to go about attacking those in a variety of ways. We're going to talk about cover 4 drop here today, and we're going to go over the easiest two-man route combination that you can run to attack this for good yards down the field. So we're going to be in gun tight open as the formation, and we can pick in any play, or pick any play that we really want. We're just going to come out and bench here, and what you want to do is you want to run this concept to the short side of the field. So if you're on the right hash, you want to run it to the right side. If you're on the left hash, you can run it to the left side there. Again, you can run it either side, but you want to make sure you run it to the short side of the field. Now, when we come out in this play, what we want to do is we first want to put our inside receiver on a streak, and then we're going to put our outside receiver on a speed out, and then we're going to custom stem him up 1, 2, 3 times on the D-pad, and this is what the route combo should look like right here, and that's all we need to do. The B is going to get open on the sideline for an easy completion. So if we go to say hike here, you're going to see we're just going to buy time in the pocket, and then we're going to be able to throw that right there and get those toes in and get that easy catch there on the sideline. If we go to the left hash here, you can see that it'll work on this side of the field as well. So again, if you're on the left hash, you do want to run it left. We're going to streak the inside receiver, and then we're going to put the outside receiver on a speed out and custom stem him up 3 times on the D-pad, just like this. And then again, you can do whatever you want to the other side of this formation, which is really nice, right? You only need these 2 routes for this combo. If you want to run a different cover 4 beater or a different type of coverage beater to the right side, just in case you guess wrong, you definitely can. But once again, when we say hike, we're just going to buy time in the pocket, and then we're going to throw that there and get our toe tap. Hopefully, that was a bad throw from our quarterback. Let's run it one more time. Again, obviously you want our quarterback to make the throw there on the sideline, but we're going to put the guy on a speed out 1, 2, 3 times up on the D-pad. It'll look just like that. Again, you just want to buy time in the pocket. When he breaks, you're going to throw it right there, and you're going to be able to get that catch there on the sideline. Again, really easy. And again, you can see there that it's a little bit different with that receiver when we're running it, just because of the way that he's breaking. So if I just sub in somebody else, if you're having trouble with a specific receiver getting his feet in bounds on the sideline, go to somebody a little bit smaller. And then you're going to see here that we should have a better animation to the left side. So again, once again, we're going against cover 4 drop. All we're doing is putting streak to the inside, speed out to the outside, and custom stem up 3 times. On the D-pad, we're going to buy time in the pocket, and you can see that we can throw the ball right there. And as you see, it's a lot better of a throw there with that shorter receiver. But if we look at the replay, the reason why this works is the streak here is going to take the safety and the corner deep because it's to the short side of the field. So they both have to respect this vertical route here. And then this route, custom stemmed up 3 times, does a great job getting over cloud flats, getting over curl flats, and getting over hard flats. Our next question today comes from Aaron McGuire, and they ask, how do you like to attack a player rotating between mid blitz and cover 2 invert? Now, this is a great question, and this is a good 2-play combination that people can run on the defensive side of the ball, where they mix up man coverage and zone with similar looks. That's really going to be frustrating if you set up an entire man beater on offense and then they drop out into a cover 2 invert. You're obviously not going to have the right routes on the field. So that's the purpose of what they're doing this for. We're going to talk about an easy pre-snap motion that we can utilize to really give us a good indication if they are in man or zone, and then we can set up our offense accordingly. Okay, so what we want to do is, you can really do this out of a variety, pretty much any formation in the game. When we come out in our formation, what we want to do is we want to find out who is being defended by cornerbacks and who is being defended by safeties, and that's really important when it comes to motioning our player. So if we look at the defense here, obviously they're going to have 2 outside corners, and then they're going to have 2 safeties and a slot corner. Okay, so you want to motion somebody who is being covered by either the outside corners or the slot corner. And what's going to happen is, if we motion the slot receiver here from left to right, you're going to see if that guy runs all the way across the formation with him, that's a good indication that they are in man coverage. Okay, so we motion a player, we see his player run all the way across the formation to match him. That is telling us man coverage. Now, if we motion this outside receiver from right to left, you're going to see that that corner is going to follow all the way across the formation. And that, again, is a good indication they're in man coverage, as they are here in mid blitz. Now, the reason why you don't want to motion a player that's defended by safety is the safeties will not always run all the way across the formation. So you see here, this right of screen slot player is defended by the safety. If we would motion him from right to left, you're going to see the safeties do not run across the formation to cover that. So that's not going to give us the tell that we want. So it's really important that you motion one of the receivers being defended by, again, a cornerback, not a safety. Now, if we were to go to something like cover 2 invert, you're going to see, first of all, you will get a pre-snap tell at times if they don't change their coverage shell. Okay, so obviously here, if it's one high, we know that's not mid-blitz. This is not a mid-blitz look here with that one high deep safety. Now, if we were to motion this player here, though, from left to right, you're going to see the slot corner is not going to run across the formation with him. Okay, so that's going to be something that's going to give us a tell that they're now in zone coverage. Now, if we do come out, and let's say that our opponent is trying to disguise us, and they come out in a cover 2 shell, right? But they come out in a cover 2 shell, and they're still running mid blitz. Okay, so they're in a cover 2 shell, as you can see. Doesn't look like the mid blitz look we had earlier, but they are in a mid blitz call because of how they've set up their defense. If we motion this player, you're going to see that that player is still going to motion all the way across the formation with us, again giving us that indication that they are in man coverage. So if they do try to trick you with this coverage shell, that's fine. We're going to still motion that player, and it's going to give us the look that we want. If they were to go to a cover 2 invert look out of a cover 2 shell, let's say that they come out in cover 2 invert and they're in a cover 2 shell here, you're going to see, again, we're still going to get a little bit different of a look here where that safety's in a different spot to the right side of the screen. But if we go to motion this player, we're not going to get the slot corner running all the way across the formation with him. So again, really easy tell for you is to motion any player that's covered by a cornerback. If that cornerback follows the receiver all the way across the formation, it's going to be man coverage most likely. If they don't, it's going to be a zone look. Our next question today comes from Epic Dude, and they ask, what's the best way to stop quick routes like drags, slants, and speed outs? Now, EA added an update in one of the title updates earlier on this year where shading your coverage really helps you understand where all of your zones are going to play. And this is a great way to defend underneath routes. And you can do this from a variety of coverages. Obviously, the more underneath defenders you have, the more coverage you're going to have for those underneath routes. So for instance, cover 2 is going to traditionally have 5 people underneath, where cover 4 is only going to have 3 people underneath. So obviously you're going to have a lot more coverage if you're running something like a Tampa 2 or a cover 2 type defense. Now, if we do come out on something like mesh, because obviously that has your 2 drags and you have different routes underneath. And on the defensive side of the ball, let's say that we are in cover 2, right? So we're in cover 2 here, and let's just say that they run this normal where they're just running these underneath routes to the drags, and we don't do anything with the defense. You can see that we're going to be able to throw that underneath for a pretty easy completion, right? Again, that's just running Tampa 2 with no changes, right? So we're just going to run Tampa 2. And if we look at the replay here one more time, you can see that these underneath routes can be really easy to hit if we were just playing a traditional cover 2, because as you see here to the left side of the screen, routes like streaks or anything that pushes vertical will push back your underneath defenders, and that will open up the space to get these easy underneath routes. Now, all we need to do, and it's very simple, as a defensive player, if we're in something where we're trying to defend the underneath routes, just shade your entire coverage underneath. Okay, so if you shade your entire coverage underneath, your yellow zones are going to play at 5 yards and your hard flats will play at about the same spot. And it's going to completely blanket that quick underneath the field or underneath area of the field that your opponent is trying to attack with. Okay, now what I like to do defensively is I do like to user the guy in the middle, and I'll help out initially, then I'll back up to defend, because a lot of people will run an intermediate route over top of those underneath. So they'll run 2 drags and a post over the top, or something like this where they have the 2 drags but they have the spot sitting here in the middle. What you'll see here is if I say hike, we're going to sit here in the middle initially, and then we're going to sit back and cover that. And you can see that now we have completely blanketed that underneath area of the field where they're looking to attack. And this is going to work for speed outs. This will work for those quick slants. This will work for drags. Again, it works for really any route that's trying to stay under that 6-7 yard marker on the field. So if we look at the replay here real quick, you're going to see when we shade underneath, our yellow zones are no longer going to get pushed back with the vertical routes. Okay, so they're not going to carry these vertical routes anymore. They're going to sit at this 5 yard marker, as are the hard flats to the outside here. And you can see that there's not really anywhere for them to throw this drag. Again, we're going to help out in the middle. If they throw it here, we're going to hit him with this guy, get a KO, or get a very minimal gain. Same thing over here. If they're trying to throw this drag from left to right, we have this player sitting underneath it, and then we have the hard flat out here to the outside as well. And then we can take the intermediate route with our user here to the middle of the field and take that away as well. So again, very, very simple. All we want to do is just shade our coverage underneath. Again, if you run cover 2, it's going to give you the most coverage underneath. Cover 3 will be kind of an intermediate, and then cover 4 is going to give you the least coverage underneath, just with how many underneath defenders we have available. But if they were to run something like this, right, where they're going double drags and they do a deep dig to the B receiver, again, that's going to be our job after we take away the initial throw to the underneath route. So if they say hike here, we take away these initial routes, then we're going to work our way back to cover the intermediate, because again, a lot of people are looking to throw intermediate routes over the top of those underneath routes. So if those underneath routes are not open, they want to have a second option there over the middle of the field, and that's our job with our user to take away. But you can see by simply shading down our coverage, it's going to completely take away these drag routes just because of the depth that these guys play at. Again, this is something in a title update a couple months ago, where now when you shade your coverage underneath, those underneath defenders are playing at 5 yards, and this gives us a really consistent defense that we can know exactly where our players are going to play if we make this adjustment on the field. Our last question today comes from Ken, and they ask, how do you like to defend heavy runners using run protectors on the O-line? Now, this is a great question, and if you can't defend the run, it can be very, very frustrating in the game. And there's a bunch of different things that you need to do to defend the run properly, but the keys here that we're going to talk about is being disciplined, understanding your run fits, and understanding your force and your cutback defenders. Okay, now first of all, if you do have somebody who you know is just going to be running run protect on the O-line entirely, or you're facing it a lot in something like Ultimate Team, you can always counter that by putting abilities on your defensive line and linebackers, and even your secondary. Your defensive line, you're going to want things like inside stuff and no outsiders, and then on your linebackers and secondary, you'll want an ability called Out My Way. Those are going to be good abilities to help you defend the run a little bit better if this is something that you are struggling with. But when it comes to defending the run well, what you want to understand is your run fits and understanding to have your defense play disciplined depending on the type of run you're trying to defend. Okay, so if we come out in a defense here and you see that we are in cover 4 and we look at the run fits, and the run fits are going to be the designated gaps that our defenders are supposed to fill on a given run play. Okay, now to pull them up on Xbox, we're going to hold right trigger, we're going to push X if the run's to the left, and you can see that it's going to pop up these different run fits for the players that are in the run fit. Okay, now in cover 4, what you're going to see is those 2 outside corners are never going to be in the run fits whatsoever. And even though the right of screen safety doesn't show in the run fits, in cover 4, he will play downhill more, and we'll show you why that can be effective, especially against runs up the middle. But if we look to the right, you'll hold right trigger and push B, and this is going to be a run fit to the right, or our run fits to the right. Now, you will notice that there's going to be 2 icons above players' heads. There's going to be a C icon, and there's going to be an F icon. The C icon is our cutback defender. His job is to make sure that the running back doesn't cut back, again, just as the name suggests. And the force defender is going to be the guy with the F above his head, and his job is just as his name suggests. He's going to force the play back to the middle. Okay, so he wants to be sure that nobody gets outside of him. Okay, now when we come out and play like this, you're going to see that your user a lot of times will have a responsibility as well. It's important you fill that gap. Okay, so if they run something and we run over here, we're leaving that right of screen A gap completely wide open, and that's going to give them more opportunity to get big gains in the run game. Okay, so what's going to happen here is if we're in cover 4 and they're running up the middle, this is a good coverage to defend runs up the middle. We're just going to make sure that we take care of our gap. So if the run's going to the right, we're taking that right of screen A gap. You can see here, we're going to take that right of screen A gap, and it's going to get muddy and hard for them to find openings. Okay, you're never going to really hit somebody in the backfield every single time, regardless of what run they're running, right? There are certain gap shoots in the game, sure, but they don't work against every run. So being disciplined and knowing where to be is the first key. So you can see here, there's not really a lot of openings for them. And if we look to the left side of the screen, you see how that safety is playing really aggressive downhill, and even the right of screen safety is playing pretty aggressive downhill as well. And this is because we're in a cover 4 defense. Okay, now if we would switch to something like cover 2, you're going to see that our run fits are going to change. So now our outside corners are going to get involved in the run fits. Okay, so if we're in cover 2, our outside corners look to get involved in the run fits, but those safeties do not get involved at all. Okay, so what you'll see here is if they run to the right, we're actually supposed to get over here on this one, okay, because that slot corner is getting to that A gap. So if they would run to the right, I want you to really pay attention to where the safeties are going to go and how we actually can leave a lot of openings up the middle because of that. So if we look at the replay here real quick, you're going to see that even if we fill that gap, right, there's 2 people running in at us. Look at our safeties. Our safeties are not in the run fits. That's not their job in cover 2. So they're running away from the play until very late. So they're not playing downhill. They're not playing flat-footed. They're not playing the run aggressively in a cover 2. So runs up the middle, you can be a lot more vulnerable if you're in a cover 2 defense. But if they are looking to run to the outside, you could be in a good position. Because again, if we're in cover 2 and they're running to the outside, that's going to be where we start to have the advantage in the run game, right? To the outside, we now have our corners in the run fits, and that's going to give us the opportunity to, again, make it muddy. That's your goal, is to make it muddy and just not give them a lot of openings. Again, here, if they're running to the outside, I don't care that my safeties are backing up. They're not the ones that I'm really asking to defend this. My outside corner, though, is going to come down and attack and really take that block on, and allows us to strafe or run across and really scrape the line with our user here. And again, you get one shed, you're going to be in a good position. And again, you just make it muddy. You make it hard for them to find openings. Now, if you would go to something like a cover 3, that's going to be a nice balanced defense, because we're going to get another player down in the box. Obviously, this is a one high look, and this is going to be a nice balanced defense where we're just going to get more people in the box to defend. But you can see, again, we want to fill our gap with our user. Now, when it comes to the forced defender and making sure they're in a good position, if they are running to the outside a lot, you want to make sure that those forced defenders are not caught up inside. So if they were running stretch to the left in a situation like this, you can see our forced defender is actually that safety that came down in cover 3. One thing we can look to do is move this guy outside of this outside receiver here, and that's going to give him better leverage to play the edge and force that run back to the middle. So here you can see that he's going to be in a better position, and it's going to be harder for them to get outside because of where we align that forced defender. Again, that's another step that you can take to make sure that your defense is playing appropriately, but it's really important to understand that these run fits and being disciplined are key to slowing down the run game, no matter how they're running the ball, whether it's shotgun, whether it's under center, pistol, up the middle, to the edge. Again, it does not matter. Understanding your run fits and understanding how to be disciplined on defense is going to be a big key for you. And like I said, make sure you understand those force and cutback defenders as well, and making sure they're in a good spot to start the play so they don't get out leveraged and really get a situation where they're not able to play appropriately from the start of the snap. And if you're looking to get even better at Madden, make sure to join our free Discord by going to HuddleGG/Discord.